This is Joy Truscott, and I'm from my beautiful site called SoulAwakeningSA, and it's a site where I have been exploring, talking with wonderfully interesting people, and then energy concepts that are coming into my awareness. So today I wanted to talk to you about the process of being in transition. So many of us are starting to experience our bodies in a form of transition. And what that looks like energetically when I'm working with clients and working with people is that the energy around us seems to be standing still in a way. I understand it and explain it like a 0-point energy, almost like there is a waiting, a sense of this being enveloped in a space that is just filled with potential, and there is a waiting inside of this space. It makes me think of that glorious story of the caterpillar to a butterfly. And I know it is a metaphor that we use a great deal in life, but when we really examine what that process looks like, we can begin to understand that we too, being part of nature, are in this constant ebb and flow and this fluctuation of our being. So we too are experiencing ourselves shifting and moving and expanding our awareness. So when I'm watching this energy showing up in others, and I'm seeing this very still energy, and for some people it's just here and there in certain areas of their energy fields, and for others, I've noticed that it's right throughout their energy field. So the interesting part is to try and understand it. So first of all, when someone is understanding that they're in a place of transition or something different is happening in their life, what happens is the body gets the sense of a shutdown. And this shutdown is very powerful. It's a necessary kind of a shutdown, because it is the same process as when that caterpillar has been moving through its life, only consuming leaves and things that are right here earthbound. It starts to understand that that's all it has in its world. But there comes a moment when that caterpillar stops engorging itself and filling up on the thing that is the most obvious and apparent in its life. And when that moment stops that caterpillar, then there is an amazing, miraculous transition that is about to unfold. So as the caterpillar stops, there is nothing else it can do. It is saturated, complete, and done. And so much of our own language goes around that. I'm done, I'm finished, I can't take it anymore, I'm exhausted, I don't want this anymore in my life. And that kind of vocabulary coming up in your own speech might be an indicator for you that you are also at a place of great saturation where you are overwhelmed and done with what it has been showing up to this point. In that moment of stopping, and all it requires for us is to stop long enough, not distract ourselves and run ahead and go into another crazy cycle of doing and performing and exaggerating our human behavior. When we stop, in that moment, we can begin to turn within. And that truly is when the magnificence begins to happen. And it's that turning within that gives us the quietening down, that 0-point energy. And there is an unfolding that begins in that process. In the caterpillar, all that it is and all that it knows itself to be transforms into a goopiness. And in that goopiness, there is a miracle unfolding. It didn't begin the unfolding because it ate a certain leaf, and this is what brought it to this place of change and fluctuation and transition. It had already the encoding for that change embedded within it. So this is the message that we need to hear. I am divinely and uniquely encoded within for my magnificence. So like the caterpillar, if I just stop as I am experiencing this transition, I can go within. And if I can stay there long enough in trust and faith, then the unfolding through the divine can come through this space and allow us to become all that we are meant to be, to bloom, blossom, and grow into our magnificence. So when I'm watching people with their own energy in that place of transition and stillness, I'm also seeing that a great deal of people are in a lot of emotional turmoil and cognitive turmoil. Because truly now, as we come into this space in our life, we are not prepared for what it is that is beginning to unfold. Everything in our life has been geared towards the constructs, the beliefs, the systems that have been implanted and embedded in our minds and our brains and in our bodies. All those constructs, requirements, and restraints are now literally choking us to death. We can no longer do them. It's time for that new thinking and that new emergence of our higher self, really stepping into our divine and more magnificent being. So here in the knowing of this, the stillness of the energy, being quiet and deeply allowing for this unfolding, we need to be at peace. And the only way we can find this peace is to allow our brain to hear this message. When we go into that deep quiet, the brain, in constant search for what it is that is actually happening in and around this body and in the world, will go rummaging through all the filing cabinets of the inner mind, finding those experiences and examples of your life, of your past journeys here in this life. And we'll try and find moments when you had experienced some form of shock or some kind of devastation, some huge cataclysmic event perhaps that happened in your life, and you came to a place of shutdown or stop. So while rummaging in the filing cabinet might pull out some old information that says, oh yes, I remember when we experienced this great shock or this great stop in our life. It was when some dear person in our life passed away. We didn't know how to cope. We didn't know how to carry on. So what we did is we just stopped and we felt like the deer in the headlights, just that alert kind of sensation around us. And we might have even experienced some sense of depression or deep sadness. So what happens now is the mind goes and it says, okay, that must be what it is. There is a shock in the system. So the person, I must be depressed. I must be depressed or shut down or disappointed. And so this is the cue that it gives us, but it's not the truth. And if we buy into that as being the truth, we are reattaching ourselves to this past debris of stuff that we cart along with us, of all the old experiences that we just regurgitate all the time. We're constantly going back and revisiting and reattaching into the emotional traps and strangling cords of those old and previous history aspects. So if you can, find a way to switch your mind by simply giving this information to your brain. I'm not depressed. I'm not lonely. I'm not isolated. I'm not in despair. And I'm not alone in this. What is happening now is that I'm experiencing a movement into a transition. And what I need to do is to stand still, trust, let go, let God, and let the divine light and love lead me and guide me through this time of transition. And when, in the most divine and sacred time, I'm ready to emerge, then and only then will I be ready to come in to the new fullness of my being and my expression. The shift is the most important gift we can give ourselves. And it is the gift we give to our mind. We ask the mind to find a new way of seeing and understanding. So it is my wish for you, as we approach the beginning of a new year, that you find this time to reflect upon where you are right now in your field of energy and your knowing of yourself in this life journey. And as you reflect, if you are feeling any sensation of overwhelm or disappointment or exhaustion, consider that you may very well be in a deeper state of a transition. And just like the caterpillar held within that amazing little chrysalis, as we rest into it and allow the dynamic of this incredible unfolding, so the chrysalis on the outside becomes more translucent, more clear. And it is when we are resting within that we can see through with greater clarity. Now that is my deepest wish for you, to be still and be quiet, so that you can find the clarity to see through, trust, and be at peace as it unfolds. And certainly when you do find yourself emerging, which you will, because everything in nature is ebb and flow, beautiful rhythm and pattern, design that is divinely orchestrated. When you find yourself emerging, allow yourself still then the time to reach in deeply into your being and warm yourself with the sun, the warmth of love and light. As you warm yourself, you are able to allow the sense of those wings opening up, just like that glorious butterfly. And then we have new eyes to see, new ways of perceiving, those beautiful antennas. We are finding new ways of knowing ourselves. And it is then that we can take flight into our magnificence. So may you be blessed upon this journey, and may the imprint that you leave upon this earth guide you and be a wonderful resonance into this earth, so that those who are still to come will feel that resonance into the soles of their being, through the soles of their feet. Leave your imprint with light and love. Be blessed and be joyous as you unfold and become your new magnificent being through this transitional time. Many blessings. Thank you so much for connecting in.